Today we present you with 14 2019 WWE releases. Where are they now? Number 14. TJP. The winner of the 2016 Cruiserweight Classic, TJP holds the distinction of being the first WWE Cruiserweight Champion after the title was re-debuted after a near-decade-long absence. By 2019, though, Perkins' star had fallen considerably in WWE, and after losing his final match on the February 19 edition of 205 Live, was released 3 days later. Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio stated that TJP being released wasn't a cost-cutting measure, nor was it because he requested one. It was reportedly due to disciplinary measures, though not much further is known on the matter. As a former TNA star, where he had previously competed as Suicide and Manic, Perkins returned to Impact in June, defeating Ace Austin in his return. Making a surprise appearance at Slammiversary, Perkins has settled in nicely back at Impact, recently forming an alliance with the colossal Fallah Bahh in their feud with former New Japan star Michael Elgin. Speaking of New Japan, Perkins has also made several appearances with the promotion, as well as on the indie scene. He would wrestle for Empire Wrestling Federation, Sami Callihan's promotion The Wrestling Revolver, AAW Wrestling, PCW Ultra, and Defy Wrestling. And in addition to a recent appearance on ESPN's Philippines branch, it's clear that being released from WWE isn't the end of his career. Number 13. Shayna Baszler. While she may have never made it to the WWE main roster, Shayna Baszler was a trailblazer in WWE, as the very first Arab woman from the Middle East to be signed by the company. Joining in October 2017, the Jordanian star came with a background in both TV presenting and jiu-jitsu, but was used primarily as a manager at live events. Baszler's biggest claim to fame was her work as a backstage interviewer during the 2018 Mae Young Classic, but was quietly let go from the company in April 2019. Since her release, Baszler has kept quiet about what the future holds for her, but given her talents as both an interviewer and a fighter, we imagine there's plenty of opportunities for the 33-year-old, who is set to marry fellow superstar Nasser Al-Ruwaya in the not-so-distant future. Number 12. Arn Anderson. A true veteran of wrestling, Arn Anderson's greatest success came in the 80s and 90s as part of the Four Horsemen, but after the collapse of WCW in 2001, he became an agent for the WWE. Working backstage, the Hall of Famer was a true staple of the company, until February this year, when Arn was fired for reportedly allowing a drunk Alicia Fox to compete at a live event. Appearing at StarCast 2 in May, the former tag team champion said he couldn't reveal much about what had happened due to a non-disclosure contract, but did say he didn't want to be somewhere where he wasn't wanted. Arn Anderson spoke with Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated and issued his first comments since being released from his WWE producer job last month. "I was fortunate enough to work with WWE for 18 years, Anderson said. "Certainly that provided my family and myself with a nice living, and I have no regrets. A lot of my best friends still work there. Everything has a shelf life, and I guess mine ran out." On August 31st, Anderson found himself in a place where he is wanted at AEW All Out, as he appeared in the corner of Cody Rhodes and leveled Shawn Spears with one of his patented spine busters. Working now on a regular basis in AEW, Anderson has brought his decades of expertise to the new company, meaning WWE may already be regretting letting the Hall of Famer go. Number 11. Ricardo Miller. There's no shortage of football stars who have transitioned into wrestling, but the story of Ricardo Miller may be the most unique. Joining the University of Michigan in 2010, Miller would play as a tight end during his time there, but would play in both the Swedish and German football leagues before giving wrestling a try in 2017. In February 2019, Miller was signed to a WWE contract alongside several stars, though his time with the company wouldn't last long. Just 1 month later, in fact, Miller requested his release from the company, though according to reports, the former football player was picking things up quickly. It's unknown at this time why Miller asked for his release from the company. At just 27 years old, Miller has his whole life ahead of him, and though it seems the WWE wasn't the right choice for him, who knows what the future holds for the Orlando star. Number 10. Hideo Itami. On June 27, 2014, Hideo Itami joined WWE with a whirlwind of buzz. One of the biggest Japanese stars at the time, the former Kenta was part of a dream roster that would quickly see stars like Finn Balor and Kevin Owens join him in 2014 in NXT. Unlike those two though, Itami never got his big break in WWE, with arguably his biggest match being as part of the WrestleMania 31 pre-show Battle Royal, where he was eliminated by The Big Show. Not even a move to 205 Live could save Itami, and after an underwhelming 5 years, he was released by the company. Joining New Japan in June, Itami debuted at the Dominion 6.9 event and would win his first match with the promotion a month later. At Royal Quest, Itami defeated Tomohiro Ishii for the Never Openweight Championship, his first title in New Japan, as it seems the Japanese star has left his WWE fiasco in the past. Number 9. Goldust. Truly one of WWE's most bizarre superstars ever, Goldust had an incredible career with the company, having stints as Intercontinental, Hardcore, and Tag Team Champion before his departure. The beginning of the end came all the way back in July last year, when Goldust had surgery on both knees, and in March this year chose not to re-sign with the company, instead opting for the new promotion founded by his brother Cody, All Elite Wrestling. At Double or Nothing in May, Goldust, now competing under his real name Dustin Rhodes, would face off against Cody in what many have called a Match of the Year candidate. After the 22-minute bout that Cody won, the brothers would embrace, and with AEW Dynamite now a thing, Dustin has maintained a spot on the upper mid-card of the show, giving amazing performances every single week. Aligning with his brother against the heel faction The Inner Circle, the Bizarre One is arguably at the high point of his career, and with AEW growing with every passing month, it seems the future is bright for the Golden Wrestler. Number 8. Nasser Jimmy Al-Ruwaya. Much like his wife Shayna Baszler, Nasser Al-Ruwaya made history when he was signed by WWE, becoming the first Kuwaiti superstar of all time. Unlike Baszler though, Al-Ruwaya would have a handful of matches during his tenure, making his debut on September 27, 2018, where he and Muhammad Fahim lost to the Forgotten Sons at a house show. A month later, Al-Ruwaya would compete in his second in-ring appearance with a shot at the NXT North American Championship on the line, but once again came up short in the 20-man Battle Royal. In April 2019, Al-Ruwaya, alongside his wife, would leave the company. Al-Ruwaya confirmed the news, saying that he had asked for his release from WWE in an effort to pursue his goals in CrossFit. While he notes that he asked for his release, Casey Michael of Squared Circle Sirens notes that his sources tell him that Al-Ruwaya was released and never asked for his actual release. Number 7. Jim Ross. Arguably the greatest announcer of all time, Jim Ross was the voice of WWE for years, announcing some of the greatest matches of all time. Returning to WWE in 2017 on a 2-year contract, Ross provided commentary for the main event no-holds-barred match between The Undertaker and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 33. Although he would do his commentary here and there in WWE, JR served primarily in a backstage role, though chose not to re-sign his deal with the company and left on March 27th of this year. With his iconic voice and unique commentary abilities, it was only a matter of time before Ross appeared again, and just 1 week after his WWE release, was announced as a commentator for AEW. Making his commentary debut at Double or Nothing in May, Ross quickly made an impact with the company, and as a weekly fixture on Dynamite, continues to entertain countless fans, something that the Oklahoma native has done for over 3 decades. Away from the ring, Ross continues to host his show Grill and JR, and despite his setback with WWE, seems to be in a much better place outside of the company. Number 6. Dasha Fuentes. Though Dasha Fuentes joined WWE in 2014 as a competitor, even teaming with the likes of Becky Lynch and Dana Brooke, it wasn't long until she transitioned over into an interviewer role. While she was part of Tyler Breeze's entrance at NXT TakeOver Unstoppable in May 2015, Fuentes became well known for her skills on the mic, which is why it came as a shock to many fans when she was fired on April 9th this year. In an interview with Chris Van Vliet, the 31-year-old revealed the reason for her firing was due to her alleged slip-up on the April 1st edition of Raw, when she asked Roman Reigns if he had accepted Drew McIntyre's match for WrestleMania 35 when she should have said challenge. A tiny mishap that many believe shouldn't have led to her being fired, Fuentes hasn't let the setback keep her down, and in August reportedly signed a deal with AEW. In October, Fuentes, now going by Dasha Gonzalez, made her debut at the company's Spanish-language version of AEW Dark, sharing the commentary booth with Alex Abrahantes. Number 5. Dean Malenko. A former Radical, the incredible in-ring career of Dean Malenko gave him a knowledge of the industry that came in handy after he retired from the ring in 2001. Transitioning into a role as an agent, Malenko would work backstage for another 18 years before his surprise departure in April this year. Unlike others on this list, the departure of the former light heavyweight champion was not due to any friction, but was instead simply because the WWE was letting some older agents go in favor of younger talent. The next month, Malenko would join the rising AEW as a senior producer, and given his incredible career that has seen fantastic matches in WWE, WCW, and ECW, Vince McMahon may already be regretting letting Malenko and his mind go to the competition. While Malenko has kept quiet since joining AEW, his name did recently come up when fans criticized Marco Stunt replacing Luchasaurus on Dynamite, with Chris Jericho name-dropping the Man of 1,000 Holds in response to fans who claimed Stunt was too small. Number 4. Stacey Irvin Jr. As a former gymnast, the athletic ability of Stacey Irvin Jr. instantly made the high flyer a huge name upon his debut WWE match in September 2018. Despite coming up short against Cassius Ohno, Irvin would persevere and would even challenge the then NXT North American champion Ricochet for the title in October at an NXT Live event, but in a losing effort. In March this year, Irvin requested his release from the company, reportedly after a concussion scare, and though the former Team US gymnast has kept quiet since his departure, Irvin recently went viral when a video of him celebrating the record-breaking performance of his girlfriend and Olympic gold medalist Simone Biles was uploaded online. Since departing WWE, Irvin has used his athletic gifts to help others achieve their own health and fitness goals, and has now settled into a new career as a fitness trainer. Number 3. Rhino. The final ECW champion of the original promotion, Rhino had plenty of success in WWE, becoming a WCW US and Hardcore champion, as well as one half of the very first SmackDown Tag Team champions. Returning to the company in 2015, Rhino would announce his departure on July 17th this year, despite the WWE offering him more than double his current earnings to sit at home, rather than compete elsewhere. Before his departure, though, the Man-Beast of Detroit did appear at Impact under a mask, though according to reports, WWE didn't have a problem with this. After his masked return at Slammiversary, Rhino would officially return to the company once his WWE contract was over, and has been an active part of the show in the months since, proving that the former ECW star has his own reasons for being in the wrestling industry other than money. Number 2. Ty Dillinger. Ty Dillinger's Perfect 10 gimmick may have been popular in NXT, but on the main roster, the alleged Perfect Superstar came up short almost every single time. In his final WWE televised match, Dillinger wouldn't even get a chance to finish his September 25th US title match against Shinsuke Nakamura, instead taking a beatdown by the Viper Randy Orton. Suffering a hand injury a month later, the Canadian star would eventually return in February 2019, but would publicly announce that he had requested his release from the company that same month. Joining AEW in May, Dillinger, now competing as Shawn Spears, would start a feud with Cody Rhodes in a high-profile feud that easily overshadowed anything he had done in WWE. Despite coming up short against the AEW VP at All Out, Dillinger is still seen as a credible threat, thanks to his assault with a steel chair earlier this year that left Rhodes busted open badly, and it seems the future is bright for the former Perfect 10. Number 1. Dean Ambrose. One of WWE's most popular superstars in recent years, the announced departure of Dean Ambrose came as a huge shock to many fans. The public announcement by WWE that the Grand Slam champion wouldn't be re-signing after his contract expired was so shocking that many fans thought it was part of a storyline, until Ambrose left for real on April 30th, after an epic career on the main roster. At Double or Nothing the next month, Ambrose would join AEW, appearing after the show's main event where he attacked Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, and even the referee. Now going by Jon Moxley, the name he used before WWE, the former Lunatic Fringe is seemingly much happier out of McMahon's grasp and has spoken openly about his issues with the company in the final months of his tenure. Not only a huge star in AEW, Moxley has also done big things on the independent scene as well as in New Japan, capturing the company's IWGP United States title in June. As a huge star in WWE and one of the most popular stars in all of wrestling, it's hard to tell what's next for Moxley. But whatever he has planned, expect the Lunatic Fringe to be his entertaining, charismatic self, whatever he chooses.